All right. Thank you so much for joining us today. You're kind of in the home stretch of before Footloose comes out next week. How is the rehearsal process going?
Well, we're ready to get out of the rehearsal room and get on stage, I believe.
That's
They're
yes.
very much ready.
So
I'm
we're
sure
not
they're
quite on the
tired of
stage
me.
yet.
No, we have one more day tomorrow in the rehearsal room, and then we start restage and tech Saturday.
Okay. So as the director, how is that process from going from the rehearsal to tech and stage? What is that like? I'm sure there has to be a lot of pressure, a lot of energy, a lot of
Yes,
nerves.
all of the above. But the great thing about this, where we are now, is I feel like we're in a good, safe space. So for me, I'm excited to add the other elements. But like once we start tech and restage, I won't really see them a lot
Okay.
until like the end of the process because I'll be working on everything else.
So you're going to be very busy behind the scenes while they're kind of going forth,
I,
running with it.
exactly. I'm trying to have them well prepared now, which is why I'm like notes, 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 because then I'm gonna go away.
Caleb, how about for you? What is this like? This moment, you kind of have one more day, and then you're on the stage.
Yeah, I mean it's been a wild ride for sure. It's been so fulfilling to do this role. It's definitely been the most challenging role I've done so far. And that's just mostly in part to, it's musical theater, you sing and dance, but to do both full out at the same time and lead a show with that is definitely a different beast in entirety. um entirely, and it's gratifying work, but it is hard work. Usually I have energy after rehearsals to say hello to the castmates and hang out. Not this time. I've been going to bed pretty soon after we hit that 6 p.m. marker, because it's just it's tiring, but I'm feeling, I feel like this is the time where I get to like grow up, and I'm thankful for that. In a lot of ways, I just am like taking care of myself. I'm recently coming off a sickness, so that's also been another wrench in this rehearsal process for me. Just kind of figuring that out because it is a very demanding role, and
Mhm.
it's hard to not have access to my voice, and for a bit of time my body. But it's been incredible. Everyone in the team is so supportive. The whole cast is so supportive. It really feels like a small family here. Um, and it's been great so far. It's really been such a treat. It truly has.
Sorry to hear though that you're coming off of being sick though. That has to
Listen, you
be
know
hard
what? You
to
know what?
rehearse like
But
that.
we're on the up, and that's all I care about. That's all I care about. We're getting back in the ring for sure. For sure.
I love that. Nadia, how about you? How has this been?
Great. We have, like Caleb said, we have a really great team, and I think we all feel super supported. But we're definitely at the point where it's like it's in our, like the show is in our mind and it's in our bodies and
Hmm.
it's very much in our hearts, and it's now just time to put it on the stage. Um, and it's like I think that we're getting a little bit antsy in the rehearsal room now. It's like okay,
Just a little
we keep
bit.
saying Tyra keeps saying we're getting like 5 more feet of space. Where is it? It's time. I need my extra space.
That's how
But
you
yeah,
expand in those roles.
for sure.
So Footloose itself is a pretty recognizable musical, at least for people that probably grew up in the musical scene. But for those who maybe are unfamiliar, we'll start with you, Tarek. What can you tell us a little bit about Footloose, and then I'm going to have Caleb and Nadia kind of talk about their roles in the production.
Oh, nice. Yeah, Footloose. First of all, it was done originally. What 1984? The movie came out, I
Yes.
believe. Yeah, because this is the 40th anniversary. And what we're doing now with this show is I'm basing it today. So it is
Okay.
present time, uh, with of course all of that love for the '80s and that wonderful music that was written. Um, but people think like when they think about Footloose, they're like, oh, it's about like dance, 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 dance,
Hmm.
dance, and it's about so much more. This is a story about healing. It's about loss. It's about love,
Hmm.
and then we dance. Right, but it has so much more heart. This guy coming from Chicago to this place called Beaumont, and he's an outsider and
Sure.
trying to figure out how to fit in uh, based on his history and what he's lost in his life with his mother. And then he meets this beautiful young lady that just, makes him goo goo. But she's dating someone else. And
Classic.
guess what? You know what I mean? And her father does not like him. And it's finding like, how do I fit in? How do I put a stamp right here in this new space? And then you find out like, oh, the reason people may not like me or may not warm up to me may be from something bigger. And we learn that, oh, wow, where we seem different, we actually are a lot alike. And when you start to find that, that common space, then we start to move and change things.
I love that. I love that. Nadia, how about your character? You're playing Ariel.
Well, I am very excited with what we've been doing with Ariel. Tyrick has this beautiful vision for the show and this family dynamic between Ariel and her parents. And Ariel, she is the perfect example of how someone can be so sure of themselves and know themselves inside and out and know what they stand for, but still struggle mentally and emotionally. And I think that I got chills saying that because I'm able to really bring a good amount of myself into her. But yeah, she's a feisty girl who likes to cry. Sometimes she's a feisty girl who cries, and so am I. So, yeah.
You're like, I feel that. I feel that in my soul.
I feel it. It's like, oh, be myself, great.
Perfect. And for Caleb, you're playing the Ren, the
Yes.
Kevin Bacon of the show.
Yes.
What is that like for you?
Listen, it's been a very interesting role for me to come into because I feel almost like Ren is someone I want to be in my life. And he comes from this big town, and he comes to this small town, and he is so unapologetic in where he's come from and who he is as a person. And I think that's something we all try to search for on the daily. But he just shows up. He shows up and he's like, I'm gonna dance where I want to dance. And you know what? It's the town's against me. I'm gonna go against the entire town. I'm gonna go fight city council. I'm gonna go fight the father of the girl I'm falling in love with. And he's just so unashamed and fearless. And I think for me, it's teaching me a lot about myself and how, how to unleash that. And it's been almost healing for me because I think we can relate to being somebody who's told you don't fit in or you're doing too much. Um, and I think sometimes in my life I've taken that to heart, and this and portraying Ren has allowed me to sort of heal myself in a way with that. And it's also just super fun. Like, it's interesting to think about, there is this dichotomy between just musical theater in general, touching on topics and human experiences that are so deep and so common, and doing it in a way that is not silly, but we're not surgeons. You know what I mean? It's not life or death, though it deals with such an important facet of our lives, which is our humanity and our emotions and our relationships to one another. And it's a very safe way to deal with the things that we sort of deal with ourselves on a daily basis. And I think Ren is he's just this poster child for just being who you are and accepting that, and eventually everyone sees him, and he's sort of the symbol that they've always needed, to show that they can really be themselves and still be loved and accepted. And I mean, nobody in this town wants, I don't know if I can, everyone knows the movie, so like I feel like it's
Sure.
not, there's no sort of spoilers, you know what I mean? There's no risk of spoiling anything. But this town wasn't always so like against dancing, so against partying. That like the strict rules came from a horrific accident, of one of the reverend who's at the forefront of this town. He's the most powerful man in this town. He has the ability to put into law that dancing is not allowed. And this when Ren comes in, the town's at a point where they have no semblance of what it is to be free. And then he comes in and completely changes that. And he shows everyone the thing they've been wanting this entire time, but have been too afraid to ask for. And it's really cool to be able to do that. And I think also I'm sure you're gonna get to this, but just to touch on it quickly, but
Go for it, Caleb. Go
to
for it.
I'm gonna go for it. To be able to tell this story in the way we're telling
Mhm.
it, um, at at a time like this where there is so much division and there's kind of a lot of people are feeling that there is sort of a hardening and there is sort of freedoms being challenged um within our country, and to tell it from a predominantly person of color point of view, like the fact that the both principals in this and a lot of other principals, a lot of people in this cast are so mixed in their backgrounds is really beautiful, because I haven't seen when I got the opportunity to my first reaction was, really, Ren? Like I'm not the Rens that I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Historically. So there's so much beauty in being able to do this now and with the people who are in it. That's a long-winded answer,
No,
but
it's okay. It's
um
okay.
it is a delight to be able to do this.
I think that from like an outward perspective too, that I mean, again, grew up watching movies of musicals all the time. And so when I saw Footloose, I was like, okay, cool. You know, we're gonna get like a traditional Footloose. And then when I saw the casting of it, I was like, wait a second, this is so much more interesting. This is getting to see something that, you know, that the film was predominantly cisgendered white
Hmm.
individuals. And so to get to see that was really exciting. When I saw that, I was like, oh, this is unique and this is cool. Um so I guess I want to turn that kind of question to you, Tyrick, kind of with also like changing it to nowadays. Like, what was maybe like the push to change it up and change it to a modern story and change the maybe the makeup of the story that made it more intriguing?
Well, I mean, I think you look at it and you say, and I was reading it, and when I was deciding on, how I wanted to do it, I was like, wow, 40 years ago, and it's still so relevant today.
Sure.
And I talk about that one song specifically, "Learning to Be Silent," that the three women leads sing. Learning to be,
Sure.
because they have been hushed. So, by these men in their lives. And you think about, like, say, everything that we're fighting for in this country today, right? In different sides.
Mm-hmm.
But what was important to me was making sure, because I'm not one to say, let's beat people over the head with
Sure.
anything, because that's what I mean by it being relevant today. Anyone who sees it will be able to relate to every character, because it's actually not about color,
Mm-hmm.
right? You know what I mean? When you really think about it, these people just so happen to be black, white, Mexican, etc. But it's not about saying like, oh, because it's not a black story, it's not a white story. It's a story, like I said, about healing, about
Universal.
love, about dance. It's universal. Everyone can relate. You can look at these families and you will say, ah, that person is in my family, or that has happened to me. The other thing that was important was for the people on stage to look like my life, like the
Sure.
people in my life. My life is very universal, right? I have so many different nationalities and just different people and ethnicities in my family and in my friend circle. So why can't we tell these stories? And it's funny, people are like, oh, you're updating. And it's like, no, actually, these people have always been around. They just haven't been used.
100%.
And that's the difference, right? And as I said, you talk about this outsider who comes into this town and they have this whole thing going on. It's just going to give you a very different perspective on a story you grew up with all of the fun and the flash and the laughs and the great music. And then you realize, and this is what I think. I hope people read my. I had to write a little, little director's note for the playbill. But just I hope people read that and see what I was trying to do is just tell this story and have people come in and first of all forget about everything that's happening outside right now because I think we also need to just be able to come to the theater and be entertained.
Mhm.
And it's very entertaining. These people are kicking major butt, Nadia and Caleb and the rest of the cast. But to also, like, so you come in and you're entertained, and then you realize you leave and you're like, wow, that's me, or that's my mom, or that's my dad, or that's something I experienced. Because
Mhm.
I think when people think about the movie, we think we remember the movie, but when you really think about the movie, you're like, oh, I forgot that happened. And I'm not going to
Mhm.
say what happened, but you'll see when you see the show, like you forget about those things because we're just so used to like thinking about like Kevin, like dancing in a warehouse and stuff,
Mhm.
doing flips
Sure.
and stuff like
Sure.
that. You know what I mean? But that was important to me was to have the people on stage look like the people in my life. And I knew that I personally could not tell this story um, to its most without the people looking like the people in my life. And everyone will come and see themselves.
Mhm.
And everyone will come and feel something. I don't know what that something is, but you will feel something. That's a promise.
And so do you feel like that's kind of like this universal story? Is that what drew you to wanting to direct Footloose?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well,
I was just like, I relate to it. And I watch these beautiful people on stage daily or in the rehearsal room daily, and different parts make me emotional. And you realize you're going to come in, you're going to see this. And you, like I said, I want people to come and I want you to forget about everything that's happening outside and just come in and just enjoy some good theater. But you're also going to come in and you're going to be like, wow, I never thought about that. And it actually might help change maybe some relationships in your life that you may currently have. And you realize this was written 40 plus years ago because it came out
right.
in 1984. It was written before that, as we
Right.
know, you know. So yeah, it's gonna be kind of crazy when you realize like how relevant a lot of these lines and songs are today.
Mhm.
And then
Okay.
we add in the whole, the aspect of like today and like what the kids are doing now with like their cell phones and that whole life, you know what I mean? Because now, you're talking to someone and they're like, uh-huh, yep.
100%.
you know.
Nadia, what drew you to this project?
Wow. When my agent sent me the audition, I actually wasn't auditioning for Ariel. I auditioned for Rusty. And I was so
Okay.
excited. I was like, yeah, I want to sing Let's Hear It for a Boy. That sounds so fun. And then for my callback, I was asked to do the Ariel material. And it completely I was like, hold up. This ain't what I signed up for. That girl talks a lot.
Ah,
There's something very beautiful about having a team see you a different way than you see yourself.
Okay.
And I'm 25, and I feel like I still don't really feel like I know where I fit within this industry. And so the idea that I was even being considered for a romantic lead was kind of like crazy balls. And so when I got the email that I got the role, I literally screamed and was just like, not making any audible words. I was just screaming. Yeah, it's
Just
very
pure
special
excitement.
to pure excitement. It's very special to be able to not only be a Black woman who is playing a young Black woman playing a romantic lead, but also to be the thing that I never saw growing up. I don't know if I have
Nope.
any more words to say.
No, that's okay. That's a perfect answer. And Caleb, what drew you to the show?
Honestly, Nadia really said it best. I think when I initially got the um the call for it, me and Nadia actually had the same agents. So um when I actually got it, it was for Ren and Chuck. And I was just like,
Hmm.
I'll submit. But again, I never saw myself as a Ren at all. Naturally I'm a kinky boots. You know what I mean? Like that's who I am. Like that's my wheelhouse. So when my agent got the offer, I was shocked a little bit, because it is, I think you spend every day with yourself and you create this perception of yourself that might not be the same perception that other people see. So it was a really beautiful
Hmm.
moment for me to receive this and think that maybe I'm pigeonholing myself in a lot of ways. Just because I always thought I would
Hmm.
be in one lane in this industry, and I couldn't really be seen as that romantic lead for especially a show like this. Um, be it that I haven't traditionally, as I said, I've seen a lot of Footlooses that have not had people like me um, as the principals. So it was just, and also, so that was a huge part of it for me was be able to do it for myself, and also for a lot of people who would be seen, would feel seen in me doing this. But also, I knew it was going to be a challenge. I knew it was going to be a challenge immediately because it's so out of my comfort zone in so many ways. And I'm just so grateful to be given this opportunity. Um, and I couldn't, there was no way that I couldn't have not done it, as artists, you never stop evolving and you never stop
Hmm.
growing, even when you hit a professional level. Um, so this, in a lot of ways, is both an amazing professional opportunity for me to have, but also a moment where I can continue to find myself and grow and develop into a lane of artistry that I would have even never opened the door to myself. Um, so those are really the two big reasons as to what drew me to this project.
That's fantastic answer for both of you. I appreciate that. um, so is there any pressure to like get a show like Footloose like right? Like these are characters people know, these are stories, like is there a pressure that, and Tyrick, I'm gonna start with you with this one. Go back to the director. Is there a pressure to like telling this story at this time?
I think it initially for
Mhm.
me, because I started working on this months ago,
Sure.
right? You know what I mean? And at first it was, a little bit, but then I came into my own, as my friends say,
Hmm.
plant your feet on the ground, and own who you are and what you do. And then I took the pressure off because what I wanted to do, and as I was hiring my team, I was like, I want to tell this story, but I'm not trying to make Nadia be anyone else other than
Hmm.
Nadia and what she brings to Ariel. I'm not trying to be Caleb, anyone else other than what Caleb brings to Ren. So I'm going to tell this story with these people and see what happens, right? And from what I've seen over the last 3 weeks is y'all not ready. Y'all not ready for what's about to happen. They're doing it their way. The songs are the same, but they're doing it their way.
Hmm.
I'm all about staying true to, the base of the story, staying true to these songs that like Kenny Loggins and Jim Steinman wrote,
Hmm.
but do it your way because you can only be you. And that's what I find beautiful about this story. What I find beautiful about this world is that you have all of these different people, right? That look different,
Hmm.
that speak differently from different towns, different ideology, all of this stuff. But that's what makes the world go round, right? If we were all exactly the same, it would be really boring, you know? And what you're going to find is that they are not the same, and they're also not boring. And I think we have to celebrate that more. And sometimes that means all of us experiencing things and seeing things that we don't necessarily like or agree with, right? But we're all here. We got to figure this mess out. We got to figure this out. How do we be in this world together and listen to each other? And it's a big scene that, of course, as we know, that happens at the end, right? With Ren and Shaw. And you realize, like, wow, we are more like than we are different. And it sounds like that whole cliche thing, but there's so much truth to it. And I just hope that people can open their hearts and open their minds to just come in and just believe.
Before we get Caleb and Nadia's answer to that, I just kind of, you were talking about, like, you say we're not ready and stuff like that. What is your approach as a director to like, I've learned over interviewing directors since, especially Meadow Brook, is that every director kind of has a different approach. What's like your approach to bringing the show alive?
What do you do, Nadia? What do you do, Caleb? You know what I mean? It's kind of like me. Once again, I come into the room and I'm like, let's find this on you. I have my thing, what I want and what I need, and we'll talk about it. And I'll give them, I've done so much history on every role and everyone in the show, and I kind of give them mine. But I say this is a collaboration, right? This is a collaboration. And if something I direct you to do doesn't work for you, let me know. Then let's find it another way.
Okay.
Because it might work for me in my head. It might work for me on my body. But then I might put it on Caleb. He's like, yeah, that's not it. And I'm like, okay, cool. Let's embrace that. Because I want it to be natural and authentic for every individual that is on that stage. And we have 24 people and 2 swings. And I even tell them, when you go on, you're not trying to be the person that you're understudying. We stay true to the word. You know what I mean? Meaning, the story. But you have to do it your way. And that's the only way it's going to be honest and believable.
So it sounds like, Nadia, Caleb, there's a lot of wiggle room for you to really kind of explore these characters.
Yes.
That's awesome. It's good to probably, again, I'm not an actor, but I would assume it feels good to have that space to interpret it the way you want to without, feeling like you're treading on anybody else's toes.
Yeah.
It like removes the pressure of like wanting to be perfect the first time that you do it, because Tyrick's just like, let's just try it again, try something else. And he leads with love, and it's wonderful because we all just feel so comfortable to be able to try whatever we want to do. He's just like, it'll work or it won't. We'll find something,
So now, do you feel like then that there wasn't as much pressure maybe to bring, like, to do Ariel the right way, or to have a certain, like, bringing this character to life?
Yeah, I purposefully chose not to watch the movie before starting rehearsals.
Okay.
And honestly, I probably won't watch the movie until like closing. Just because I didn't want to, it's like the annoying actor thing of like, I don't want to do it the same way, but I didn't want to put the original Ariel in my brain. Or even I've had friends who have played Ariel, and I'm like, I can't get your Ariel out of my head, so I need to just like not look at your Instagram account for the next 3 weeks. But yeah, I feel like because we're given so much freedom, we've been able to play so much. It's made it so much easier, mentally and emotionally, to just.
Caleb, do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think something with this show specifically is there's a clear set of parameters as to what these characters' circumstances are, but there's so much room to color with whatever colors you want to color with. And I didn't realize that until coming here. And I think it is easy to write off Footloose as a classic, and you're expecting it to be done a certain way. But when you just have the script in front of you, you can really dissect that in as many ways as you want to, as long as you adhere to the givens of these characters. And that's something I realized doing this. Because I would do something and feel absolutely crazy afterwards, and they'd be like, "That was it," and I'm like, what? Because I had a previous notion as to what Ren should be in a way, and the more I had a rehearsal the other day specifically with the choreographer and our music director, and they were just giving me the prompts in working with the song, and I did it the last time I did it, they gave me like a prompt, which was to do it everything poorly. And I did it poorly, as in I would just kind of just like was being wacky or goofy, whatever. And I felt absolutely insane. And by the end of it, they were both like, that was the best time you've ever done it. And so, and it was because I just kind of did, a very heightened version of who I am. And ultimately, that's between everyone, between the Tyrick and everyone else on the team, they've all been pushing all of us to just be ourselves. And that is a luxury to have because you don't often have that. You do not often have that. And you know, th- it's strange because in this industry we do work that we're passionate about, but when it becomes an industry and you go in to do it professionally, there's a lot of pressure to fit a mold. And though those molds are breaking, they are, it still very much exists. So to just get an opportunity where you are paid to do what you love and told do whatever you want to do, there is nothing better than that. There's nothing better than that because you get to ultimately we're all here to express ourselves and we're just given a vehicle to do that, and it's truly a blessing to be able to have so much free range to just do what we want. Now it's not crazy, you know what I mean? We're it's not like it's not gonna be some avant-garde piece of Footloose, but it is just it is a very different flavor, is what I'll say, of everything.
So we're not going to see like a cabaret version of Footloose here.
No, you will
Absolutely not.
not. No, you will not. No, you will not.
Uh, so Tyrick, you kind of mentioned that 24 people are cast members, which is a lot from my work from being at Meadowbrook. You don't usually see that many people on stage. And is this many people with the collaboration with the Oakland University School of Music and Theater?
Absolutely. Yes. We have about 1, 12, 13, 13 OU students that are also in the show, and that is a part of the collaboration between Oakland University and Meadow Brook Theatre. And they auditioned. I auditioned about almost 100
Oh my
of them,
gosh.
and it was only able to accept 13. And they're really working hard, and hopefully they're enjoying themselves. I love them; they're all my babies. That's what I said, my loves. But it's yeah, and it's what is really nice is to see. They don't know this because I haven't told them, but to see my professional, my equity actors, from New York and all over, the U.S. who flown in to do the show, take care of the OU professionals and really like mentor and look after them, and that's been really nice to see, because you just don't always have that sort of like camaraderie in a cast, but even to
Mhm.
have it with like the equity performers and the OU performers is really nice and special. The cast kind of got close quickly. I started asking people. I was like, "Do y'all know each other?" Like, no, we just met. It's like, my gosh, which also makes it for a fun room and a loud room because everybody likes to talk,
I
which
was
is
gonna say,
annoying sometimes. But I also love that they like each other because I think it makes a difference when you see people on stage who actually really get along. Like
Mhm.
Nadia and Caleb, he came the second day because he missed the first day of rehearsal because he was in New York being fabulous and fantastic. And the day he came, he had to come right directly into a photo shoot. And how comfortable they were with each other. Were y'all friends before now? It was really nice to see. Really nice to see.
How has it been for you, Caleb, working with such a? I mean, again, you maybe you've worked with cast like this before, but again, Meadowbrook is usually like 5 or 6 people and you're done. Like, this is not necessarily typical for their stages.
I mean, a huge, huge shout out to these university students. They are working so hard and they set themselves up to be swings and they're covering every track and more, and they are just working so hard and they're so sweet. Everyone, I truly I put an emphasis on this. Everyone is so kind here. Everyone is so kind. We are so blessed to have so many kind people in the cast because honestly, there is nothing worse than a sour grape, okay? In terms of people. Is that the expression, sour grape? Sour.
That
Yeah.
works.
We'll go with that. But
We'll take it.
there's nothing worse than someone who just dampens, the cast and the camaraderie, and everyone is just so kind, and it truly, you get to see so many different people, and it's so nice because we really built this community with everyone, and it's really really nice to be. I usually I feel like I haven't been in a cast as small as five or six, like. Um, but I love a big cast. I think it's so much fun. You get to experience so many different personalities, and it's fun. That's the great part about this business. You get to meet so many people, and make new friends, and always cultivate new relationships. And it's a great way to do it. Especially when there's more people, you know. And it's been great. It's been great. Everyone's been so kind and lovely, and hardworking. Truly, everyone is working so hard to put on the best performance that we possibly can, and it reads. It reads.
Nadia, how about for you?
It's been a joy working with the OU students. The professionals, they come in and they're ready to work, and it is so cool. Um, I think that the reason, personally, I have been a part of casts that have not been welcoming, and I have felt like alone in cast. And I think there are lots of us professionals who came in for the company to join the company who have also felt that. Um, and so it's just been wanting to make sure that like the OU students feel like they are part of this company, even though they're not professionals. Like they are learning, and we want to make sure they're learning and that they have the tools to learn when they need to. Um, we've also like had conversations with like about the importance of advocating. It's so hard to advocate for yourself in this industry, and the younger you are when you learn it, you are going to be like so set up for success. And so I think we're having a great time because we truly just care about each other. And that's nice. We like our coworkers. It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an awesome energy, though. You getting all to be together and it sounds like you're kind of sharing some of your knowledge, and you're also, everybody's learning. There's an exchange of energies between everybody, which is it's really beneficial for everyone involved.
Oh yeah.
So Caleb and Nadia, I want to ask you, is there anything specific you have to do to get into the mindset of your characters? Is there anything like, do you have like a routine to become Ariel and Ren, or it's kind of like when it's time to rehearse, you're there, everybody has their own process, I hear. So I'll start with you, Nadia.
It depends on the day.
Okay.
Some days it's a lot easier to find her. Our girl goes through a very large emotional journey throughout the show. I think the main thing that I have to do before rehearsals is start using my accent a little bit earlier in the day, so that it doesn't sound like crap when I do it on stage. And then also, Ariel doesn't walk. She's got to walk. She's got a little strut, and sometimes I just walk up and down the hallway, in her little strut, and be like, "Okay, she's here. Let's go." She's a.
I love how fast you just got into that.
I do too.
You were talking about like how you had to warm up for the voice. The next thing I know, the voice was just there. Like,
Well, I did it for 6 hours today.
Caleb, how about for you? Do you have a routine to get into the mindset?
So unfortunately, I don't have an accent to get into, but I have to go all natural. But I mean, truly, I kind of just have a moment with myself and say, just try and release any doubt, any fear that you have, because you can't have that when you're portraying this character. So. I'll just get in I'll listen to my music, I'll dance around, I'll get a little goofy mindset. Of course, warm up. We'll do some tea in the morning, some vocal exercises, some steaming. That's kind of like, that's the boring part of all of it. But
Sure.
it is definitely part of the routine. And personally, though, I like to sort of set myself up, warm up, and then just kind of see where the day is going to take me. Because on at the end of the day, my what I value most is honesty and just being where I am. And every day is different. you wake up on the wrong side of the bed and that day is different for you. And you have to now
Hmm.
find this character who does also have those days, and you can apply it in different ways. So, even the days of rehearsal, like sometimes the run through yesterday is a little bit different than the run today, just based on where you are. And that's kind of the beauty
Okay.
of live theater. You can bring that. It doesn't have to be the same exact cookie cutter performance. You take, you know, obviously there's a limit to what you can take outside into it because you have to tell the
Hmm.
story in a way that is appropriate to what's been directed. But just taking it in the moment is ultimately like but what I find myself doing. But a little walk never helps. A little walk, like Nadia said, a little strut down the hallway, can always get you in the mood. So there's nothing wrong with that.
uh Tyrick, when you're directing this, are there things that you like? You're reading the script, you're like, you can see it in your head, and then you go to like put it on stage, and it just like I'm talking like maybe like set pieces or like scenes that you're just like, this can't work out this way, or like this isn't the way I had it, and you have to adapt it. You shake your head, yeah. You're like, yeah, all the
Absolutely, all the time. Because in my head, everything is perfect. You know what I mean? Like I,
right.
I directed this show months ago, all in my head.
Hmm.
Like this is what it blah blah blah, and this, and then you get it. Like I said, you get it onto the bodies, right? And some things I directed, and I talked to like KBS, our choreographer, and I was like, okay, so I want this feel for this number. I wanted to kind of do this, but then I get like a Caleb in the room, and this boy can dance. You know what I mean? And so, like, what was in my head wasn't good enough.
Sure.
You know what I mean? I was like, oh, okay. So let's readjust because I want to
Hmm.
highlight, those
Hmm.
things. You get like a Nadia in the room and she can dance as well. And so you see this Ariel like a lot of times, and I say that because we know, that with leads that they can, act and sing. Definitely, we
Hmm.
know that they can sing. But a lot of times with your leads, the dancing is, you don't always get like triple
Hmm.
threats. You get both of these people and they're like, and so you're like, okay, now I got to up my game to match their talent. And so,
Sure.
yeah, oftentimes, yeah, I create stuff in my head. And sometimes I create stuff in my head and I realize I put on people. It's like, oh, we don't have 3 arms. So we can't do that. Like, but for
Sure.
some reason in my dream last night, it made complete sense.
What do you think has challenged you as a director about the show? Like, what about the show challenged you?
All of it is a challenge. Anytime you're working with, a big cast like this. But I think the biggest challenge for me was to make sure that no matter what, it's very easy to get gimmicky, and I didn't want to
Sure.
do any gimmicks with this show. I think there's a reason this story has been around, like I said, for 40 plus years,
Hmm.
and has been successful. Um, and so I didn't want to do any gimmicks, and I was just like, you know what, I'm going to invest in the heart of it. And I had to find what that was. And once I knew what that was, I was just like, okay, cool. That's where we're gonna lead from. We're gonna always stay true to the heart.
Hmm.
Everything else is secondary that comes out of it.
Sure.
But go to the heart of the show, and then you try to tell that. And what I constantly, with this cast is just reminding them, you know what I mean? What do you want? Why are you doing that?
Hmm.
Because if we can't explain it, if we don't know why, then we shouldn't be doing it. You know what I mean?
For sure.
And that's really important to me is to stay true. Now you could do a whole bunch of stuff and just flash, 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 flash,
Hmm.
but like the heart, we could really do this show with the bare minimum. But with this cast and the story and the music, it would still work and be just as effective.
That's awesome. Caleb, how has this challenged you as an actor?
Honestly, that uh, acting it truly with this has been the least of my problems, to be honest. Like the hardest part for me in this is trying to finesse the dancing and the singing at the same time. Especially because I haven't been in a role that has been so challenging in both at the same time. And I think, usually when I dance, it's a lot, and it's not the way I usually dance is not as conducive to singing. So I kind of have to retrain the way I dance in order to accurately sing these songs the way I want to. So that to me has been the hardest part of the entire process. But I think acting wise, that like I said, like it is amazing to take these sort of these runs day by day and sort of coming at it with a fresh mind every day, but that also comes with the inherent challenge of figuring out how to get to where you want to go every day and having to sort of replicate that. I think the real challenge is to come up when we get into the later part of these runs, because in the beginning of a run you're always fresh, you're excited, all this stuff, but when it starts to get to that like post, I would say, like, well into the beginning of the third week after, you have to figure out how to make that still interesting, because at that point sometimes you go on autopilot, and then you kind of are like, that actor, you know what I mean, like you don't want to do that, and so you have to sort of like totally reframe and think about and revitalize yourself, and sometimes it takes a lot of energy, and that is a practice. But honestly, the acting in this show, Tyrick mentioned the scene with Reverend and Ren. That is my favorite thing to do the entire show. It is my favorite thing to from this entire show, because it is the most honest. It is one of the most honest and raw scenes between two characters that we get to see, and I am so lucky that I get to be a part of it. And to me, that is the essence of what we do, is showing that humanity in the most unfiltered way. And it is just, and Ron, who plays the Reverend, is so fabulous, and it is just so fun to be with someone who is so dedicated to their craft, because you really get to go in as much as you want to, and they'll be right there with you along for the ride. And so that the acting of the show has been so fun. But I think one of the challenges I have felt is kind of finding staying true to Ren's essence while marrying myself into it. That has been a huge challenge. Because though I feel I share some attributes with Ren, there are a lot of differences as well. Um, and finding that has definitely has been a challenge, but it has definitely been rewarding and a lot of fun to do. So I would say that's probably the main challenge that I've been facing.
It's so awesome that you get to work with Ron Williams. I've seen him in quite a few shows here, and he's
Oh
fantastic.
my God,
So
he is a tens across the board, tens across the board. Actor, singer extraordinaire. That man, he's so great. He's so great.
uh Nadia, how did this challenge you as an actor?
A really, really, really nerdy actor.
Okay.
Like, Tyler's asking me all the questions, and I get to go. He's like, "Don't answer it. But answer it again." I'm like, "Okay." I get to go sit down and like journal out physicality and how Ariel, she speaks differently when she's with her friends versus when she's with her dad versus when she's with her boyfriend. Like, I get to be a super nerd, and I think that the biggest challenge has been not going too far into myself while on stage. And I think that the relationships that we've built off stage has been super, super helpful, because it would be so easy to just like curl into a little cocoon during Act Two when we're like at the emotional peak of the show. But I want to stay open because everyone on stage is so inviting. Yeah, I think that's probably the biggest challenge. And also all these dang lines.
Well, that too. I should have
It's a
said
lot
that.
worse.
Yeah, Ren's got
It's
some juicy ones too, and
it's like such specific little things. It's like if you are saying everybody versus everyone, like
and let me tell you, those SMs do not joke about these line
they
notes. Okay,
don't
they
just
don't
like
joke. They go down.
they will read you to fellow.
It's
Like
like they're
that's not the
handing
line.
me
I'm so
a
sorry.
subpoena after I get these line
It's
notes.
like 2 pages, 3. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry,
I will
Lee.
say though, I downsized the page today, so I'm very proud
Good
of that.
job.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I needed that. I needed
Uh,
that.
I love your guys' energies, and I appreciate you giving me so much time. I just have just two more questions, I promise, and we're gonna be out of here. Tyrick, starting with you, what themes of this show resonate with you the most? There's so many themes. You named off quite a few of them.
Forgiveness.
Okay, love that. Now, how about
just
yourself?
want one, right?
I mean, you can give me as much as you want.
But forgiveness is, I would say, the big thing, and I think that's something that we all have trouble with.
Okay.
And so that's the reason I said that resonates most with me.
Love
forgiveness.
that. Nadia, how about yourself?
And what people will do for it.
Love that.
There's so many different avenues of like what people are doing for love in the story. And it's heartbreaking, but it's heartwarming, and it's a lot.
And Caleb, how about for you?
Acceptance for sure. Acceptance of others and acceptance of yourself. That's really the driving, I would say one of the main driving forces of the show. And also acceptance of circumstances. And that's really what this whole show revolves around in so many ways.
I love that. And while those are those themes that resonate with you, what are you hoping audiences take away from the show? Other than just a good time, because it sounds like, again, the energy is insane. Just from the three of you, I can only imagine what it's going to be like when it's on stage.
It's a lot of energy.
Just a little
I'm
bit.
glad I'm not on stage.
Just a little
bit. But I'm gonna have a lot of energy
Make
in
a
the
cameo.
audience.
You should make a cameo. That'd be so sick.
Why haven't we written a role for him yet? No.
I mean,
it's fire though. It's fire. What was the question?
No, I just what are you hoping audiences will take away from the show? But I mean that's also a great way to just kind of end it too. So
yeah, I mean, I hope audience take away like I said that the relatability of the show, right? I talk a lot with my arms and hands, as you see, but I hope people leave and think about it and start to like ask themselves questions about, but wait a minute, how did or who or that made me feel a certain way. I hope because like I said, that's what turned me on to it, and the reason I did it in present day is because it is still so relevant and relatable to now, and that's what I hope people relate. I hope people like and realize like, oh, also this cast is so beautiful. They're so beautiful, and that's not just a physical thing. The heart. I talk about the heart of the show, but the heart of this cast, and they have to put up with me. They gotta be great.
Baby, you are a treat. Trust and believe. You are a treat. You are a treat.
But I love them. I really do. I like them all a lot. And I was talking to the producer here, and I was just like, it's so interesting because we're in our third week, and normally this is the week where we start to kind of like get on each other's nerves, especially me because I'm starting to get really picky now because they are doing such good work. I can be really picky. You know what I mean? And I still like them. Like, I like them. Like, if I had the time, we would be going out, like, you know what I mean, for like dinner and drinks and stuff. Like, I would hang out with them. And people know I'm pretty antisocial. I'm not a hangout kind of guy. And I want to hang out with all of them,
It's hard to believe you seem so outgoing here.
Very antisocial. It's more like social anxiety, but that's another podcast.
A different.
Well, it just so happens that my day job is a psychologist, so we can make that happen.
Can I book you?
Of course, I'll pass you along my information.
Look at this new connection.
Keep in touch. Sounds good.
But I want to just thank all three of you, Caleb, Nadia, Tyrick. Thank you so much for being here. Footloose is running at Meadow Brook Theatre from January 8th to February 2nd. Lots of weeks, lots of shows. So you can get your tickets from mbtheater.com. Thank you so much, the three of you. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Brian. Thank you for supporting the arts, man.
Oh, yes.